should be recorded, which is cool. Okay, here we go. We are live. We are up and running. I'm not going to start immediately because I know there's still some people trickling in. I see that the numbers are going up in our counter, which is great. Yeah, so welcome to the Digital Propellers webinar. And I'll make introductions in just a second here, and then we can get going. So I'm in Santa Cruz. Actually, I'm in Rio Del Mar, which is near Santa Cruz, as a lot of you guys probably know here. We've got Fern from Santa Cruz, and we've got Kyle Sabra from down south, Huntington Beach area. So also Surf City, USA.
Yep.
Okay, let's officially get started here. So I'd like to kind of frame this webinar just so everybody understands what's behind this. So Kyle and I work together. We do online marketing. We do digital marketing. We love what we're doing. Now we're in this really tough position right now with COVID, trying to deal with COVID, and so it's a very stressful situation, and so we tried to figure out. I put together an article that you can see on my LinkedIn page. I put that together about a month ago, kind of looking at some of the helpful signs from the digital marketing side. Basically, there is hope, because to me, the digital side is what will get us, or what will enable us to get through this crisis right now. And so what we decided to do is kind of create this I don't know, this thing, this consortium, whatever you want to call it, called Digital Propellers. And my vision is to help other people, to help other businesses pull through the coronavirus crisis, and to sail through this smoothly after that. There's a lot that we can share with you. We're not trying to make money off of this. This is really just if we can help businesses, continue their payroll, if we can help businesses figure out a way to bridge the crisis right now and just stay afloat, that Kyle and I would be so happy. So there are other team members that I will introduce at a later time. There's Alec, there's Miguel, there's Steve, there's George, there are a bunch of people, and they're watching right now. We'll do that later. But what I'd like to do today is we're going to focus on one business, and it's a business in Santa Cruz. It's a cafe that's been hit pretty hard, and we've got Fern here, who is the roaster, who's a barista, and who's trying to kind of help figure out, like, what the hell do we do? How do we survive? So this cafe's doors, physically closed, and what can be done digitally. So I think this is a really good example, because it's a tough, it's a really tough situation to be in, but it doesn't matter what what your capacity is, or where you are at this point. In many cases, you can figure out a way to get this to work for you. And so what we're trying to apply here, and I'll let you give a little introduction in just a second. But what we're trying to apply here really applies to everybody. It applies to any kind of a shop, a small shop, a large, like a 50 million, a 200 million B2B digital company. Like, what do we do to survive this? And a lot of it is looking at the website, content, etc. So let me, if you wouldn't mind, Fern, kind of introduce us to who you are, and kind of some of the challenges that you're seeing, and
Absolutely,
what we might be able to do here.
Yeah. So I've been working at the Cafe Delmarette for about 5 years since I was 17, and what we've really been hit with is just as we're unable to keep our doors open during kind of the pandemic and the orders to stay at home. We're just looking at creative ways that we can um, start anew once there is safety, and once we're able to kind of go back to work, how we can do that in a safe way and kind of prepare ourselves, because um, no matter what happens, it's gonna be different. But it we saw a pretty big dip in business, and I think the last week, and then um, we started talking about closing, and that's the day that the orders came through. So it's
So that was March. I think it was March 16th or something like that.
yeah, I think it was March 16th. I think it was a Monday.
Okay. So I really like. I just wanted to add here that I think the really important focus for us needs to be what we're doing right now should not just look at fixing the immediate situation of a COVID-19, because we can do so much more. So I feel like we can address that, but we need to look at it in a much bigger picture. So it's a little bit like just trying to, let's say you're focused on SEO and you just want to address the immediate Google update, like how do we survive that? It's a much bigger picture. And so we're going to apply some guidelines and some tips and tricks that will clearly help with what's happening right now, but it'll also be a good investment for the future.
Absolutely, and that's great, because uh, online ordering and such is also something that even not during a pandemic is super useful to have, and something that I know we'd like to build out more either way. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me just say where you guys are right now. Let me just kind of give a point of reference. So you have a website that's existed for a while. I mean, since at least 2013, maybe farther back. But it's basically a homepage, so it's very simple. It's an image, and then you are right now you're working on building up the e-commerce side using Shopify, right? And that's all very basic as well.
Yeah, so we've had this website that's essentially just pictures and some information, and we've been trying to build a website so that we can have cashless transactions when we reopen, because what's become really popular is having just some electronic, uh, maybe Google Apple Pay or something, so that you can just be entirely cashless. Because especially now, and even in the future, there's going to be I don't know, it's gonna linger.
Yep, definitely.
So we've been trying to build out a website that we can use immediately once it's safe, but also potentially to do ordering of roasted coffee and other things that we could hopefully even ship internationally in the future.
Okay. So let me pass the floor on to Kyle Sabra, our SEO guru, digital strategy brain. Yeah. So do you want to jump in and kind of give some of your ideas.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is just get a basic framework, and this is this is something that we can just experiment with. What I've done, I've invited. I think I've invited almost all of you into the LinkedIn group, the Digital Propellers LinkedIn group. And I'd like to see how that goes. So after this event, join the group, go into the group, post questions, just go ahead, if figure out how this might relate to you, ask questions. But also during this webinar, feel free to ask questions. The second half of this will be looking at, basically will be a QA session. So we can look at what you're struggling with and how does this apply to where you might want to be going. Okay, over to you, Kyle.
Cool. Okay, so you're starting to build out this new website, and one thing I think a lot of business owners forget is just because you build it doesn't mean that they'll come. So one thing that I see a lot is for businesses is when they build out websites is they focus a lot on the aesthetics and the less on the user experience, but really what's important is getting people to the website. So what's your current strategy? Have you thought about how you're going to get people to find you guys online?
Our current strategy was to promote it through Instagram and Facebook, and to put the online ordering link in the is it the Google Knowledge Panel?
The Google My Business?
Yes, that little
right.
brick. Right. Beyond that, though, we hadn't gotten that far.
Okay. Well, one thing that I'm hearing though is, so you're going to promote it through Facebook and Instagram. Are you going to be doing a paid ad campaign and be monitoring that, or is this going to be just for people who are already connected with your Instagram?
Yet undecided. I think primarily interacting with people who are already followers, but I think not close to that idea.
Yeah. Okay. Because I mean, one thing that people don't really, I think, understand is how much time it takes to grow an Instagram following, and Facebook as well, because you have to be on there literally almost every day, going on there, interacting with your followers, following other profiles that maybe your followers are connected with as well. And not everybody has a personnel for that either. I've seen it several times where people start out gung-ho and they're on there every day, following and unfollowing 90 profiles per day, and then it kind of peters out after a while because it's draining. It really is. And there is not a lot of ROI in the beginning for Instagram and Facebook unless you know what you're doing organically. Again, unless you're paying for ads. But even then, that's not something that the average person could do. There's a reason why there are agencies that focus on this. So, I mean, you mentioned maybe paid ads. Is that something that you guys would actually have time to monitor and everything, though? Or would you be paying for an agency to monitor that?
I don't know if we as a business would necessarily have the budget to hire an agency, but
yeah,
we hadn't specifically discussed paid ads before, okay. But
yeah, I mean,
for agency or consultant, right?
Yeah, and that, again, that's something that I see with a lot of local businesses. Restaurants especially. I bartended for a long time. I worked in kitchens. Like, I know how razor thin the margins are for something like that. So a lot of times there really isn't money in the budget to pay for a consultant or an agency, as well as paying for clicks. I think one thing that really the cheapest way to do it is through Google, is through SEO. And this is where building a website specifically for aesthetics really kind of hampers online marketing efforts, because a lot of times, website web design best practices really aren't SEO friendly. They're not search engine friendly. So if I can share my screen here in JS for a sec, so I can pull up the. Okay, I think I remember how to do this. Let me see. Okay,
Yes.
so
You can see it. Yep.
great. So here is the website as it stands, right?
Yes.
So it's just a placeholder website. It looks like it's just a picture. There's nothing really clickable here, and I can see what the website's trying to do. It's just putting information out there. It's got a really great picture. I kind of want these cupcakes. It's got the information and stuff on there, which is great for people. Somebody coming to this site knows how to contact you guys, knows what kind of stuff you have. It looks really great, but it's not so great for search engines. There's really no information here for search engines to glean. And if I can show you exactly what I mean, so here's basically what Google's going to be seeing. So you're going to see the title, Cafe Delmarette, but then nothing really else. There's a picture on there. What's missing here that I see a lot of businesses forget to do is put alt tags in the picture. So Google still really isn't great at reading images, and it relies pretty heavily on alt tags. And without these alt tags, Google's really not going to be able to tell what the picture is. And on top of that, if somebody is vision impaired, they rely on screen readers for this, and the screen readers will go off of what's in the alt tags. And if there's nothing there, it doesn't provide a good experience for them either. So while this has a really great picture on here, it looks really inviting, there isn't really much for Google to for Google to understand. And since you can't understand it, it's really not going to rank it for any sort of keywords. And just to show you what I mean is when you actually Google this, search for it, what comes up? Yelp, Z-Menu, Facebook, TripAdvisor, all the way down here is Cafe Delmarette. So this site isn't even ranking for its brand name. Even if you do brand plus city, it's all the way down here on number, I think, 7, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, number 7.
Can you share that screen? I'd love to see it, because then we can also point out the Google My Business.
It should be sharing.
Listing on the right. Oh, it's the Cafe Delmarette homepage that we're seeing.
Ooh, I don't know why.
Oh, weird.
Let's try.
Oh, there we go.
Let's try this.
Just changed. Okay, yeah. It's probably just sharing that specific session. There we go.
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
So all the way down here, you can see that Google isn't even ranking this number 1 for its own brand name, which means Google isn't going to trust the site, which means it's not going to rank it for any keywords around like food delivery, coffee roasters near me, sandwiches near me. So while a site like this is great for users, it's really bad for search engines, and nobody will find you. They're going to find one of these other pages first. And adding extra steps in there like that really hurts conversions, because what you want to do is have users find your site through whatever keyword they're searching for, hit your site, and then immediately convert. If they have to go through extra steps, people are inevitably going to drop off, and that's less orders that you're going to have.
Plus that way, if it's really Yelp or Z-Menu or Facebook that controls the traffic.
Exactly.
It's not you.
That's out of your hands.
And if you can get the Delmarette to the top where it should be for brand search, then you kind of control that conversation as well.
Exactly. And you never want to rely on a third-party website, because they could ban you tomorrow for no reason. And if that happens, that's what you're relying on your traffic for. That's gonna hurt real bad. Yeah. So, if I can pull up the new site that you have too. So tell me a little bit about the new site that you're building out. What the strategy was and what your thinking was behind the new build.
Definitely, yeah. With the Shopify site there, we just wanted to try and again make something cashless for ordering, because there are a couple other businesses in town that were using like Grubhub or DoorDash. And we got a significant amount of DoorDash orders before too, but the cut that DoorDash ends up taking ends up being pretty significant. And then because of the way it all ends up, you also can't leave a tip for the restaurant or cafe, and it just ends up the money that ends up being lost through the whole process. It's the margins just disappear. So
Right,
we're
right.
thinking with something like Shopify, we could build something ourselves and try and
Right, control your destiny essentially.
Mhm.
So, okay, like we said before, you're going to be getting traffic through Facebook and Instagram, but really, as I mentioned, the cheapest way to do it and the way to get somebody else to work for you is through SEO. One of the things that I think people don't really understand is the importance of keywords, because without those, Google's not going to know what to rank you for. So when you were building the site, did you have keywords in mind that you wanted to rank for, like coffee roasters or sandwich delivery, anything like that?
Absolutely, yeah. As I'm still figuring out Shopify, that's actually a good question. I noticed that with the items that you can put into the store, you can tag them. Is there further tagging that you can do through Shopify?
Yeah, tagging really isn't going to help a whole bunch. Really, what you have to do, if you want to rank for more keywords, you have to rank for more pages, period.
Okay.
So I see here homemade scones, whole bean coffee. This is great. But so I'm going over to here to whole bean coffee. And what basically I'm seeing here is I like this. It's really easy to navigate. There's nothing really here to confuse me. It's super easy to pay, but there's also really no content on here, and it doesn't really give search engines a whole lot of information. So essentially what I'm seeing here is it looks like that you're trying to rank for the brand name of your coffee, or possibly the keyword whole bean coffee products right here. If you want to rank for something like coffee roasters near me, then you got to make a page for it. You have to make a page titled, like Santa Cruz coffee roasters or something like that. So once you do that, and you tell a little bit about what you do, you figure out what keywords need to be in there, not just your main keyword, but the related ones that Google's also going to look for. Not only is that page going to rank itself, but your Google My Business is going to pick up on that too. Oftentimes when you Google something and it's like something like, coffee roasters near me, when you see what we call the map pack, which is at the top of the search, there's the map and then the 3 business listings below that. Oftentimes what you see is below the name of the business, they'll have something in italics saying, this website mentions coffee roasters or something along those lines. So really, if you want to rank for these near me keywords or delivery keywords, you have to make pages for them on your site. You can't just assume that Google is going to understand that you do delivery or that you're a coffee roaster and you say, or, where you say you're located at. You have to explicitly spell that out so Google can pick up on that information. Another thing too is, so right here, and this is another thing that I see, people assume, business owners and designers assume that people know what they're going to be getting at, which if I was specifically searching for this, I would. But again, there's not a whole lot of content on here. It says freshly roasted 8-ounce bag of chocolatey, stone fruity Colombian coffee. Okay, I know what that is, but one, for conversions, you might want to sell it a little bit, put bullet points on there about why it's so great and whatnot. But also, as you're putting in those bullet points and putting in more information, you're giving search engines more information as well. And the better they can understand your page, the better of a chance you're going to have to rank. So while this makes sense for a human user to come and see what this is, especially somebody who's already interested in buying, this coffee, it's really not helpful for somebody who may be on the fence, and it's really not helpful for search engines. So just even adding a couple, maybe not even 200 words of content on here is really going to help this page rank for somebody searching for, whole bean coffee near me or one of those related keywords.
Absolutely.
Another thing too that I noticed is, so it looks like this has some history behind it, right? Like, can you tell me a little bit about the location?
Yeah. So the location, it's right next to the Delmar movie theater. It's this pretty old building that's I don't know exactly actually when it was built off the top of my head, but I know the Delmarette fountain opened there in 1936. That was like the um, kind of original Delmarette, and what the current uh, I don't know, business is like a little bit of a homage to, but yeah, that opened then and closed up then because of the earthquake in.
Mm-hmm.
In '89. Yeah.
Under that name, it's something has been there in that building for quite a while though.
Right. And that's great. I mean, it's great that you have this a little bit on the homepage. You're not really clogging it up with a lot of text and everything, but I didn't see that anywhere in the menu here. That's a really great story, man. People love that kind of stuff. And on top of that, like I said, the more information you give Google, the better it can understand you. So it's just going to help you in the search engine rankings too. And SEO really is the cheapest way to advertise your business. So another thing that I would highly recommend is putting an About Us page on there. Tell a little bit about the story. This place has history, has heart. Like, this is why people should be coming here. Not just for the amazing coffee and the sandwiches, but I mean, this is an institution. There's history behind this. This is a part of Santa Cruz for literally, almost 100 years. And people love seeing that, man. Stories tell. I mean, stories sell. If you can tell a story, people are going to be able to connect with your business. So again, having this little bit right here is really, really great, but break it out into its own About Us page or like a history of the Cafe Delmarette, something like that. And that's people going to connect with that, and it's going to be really amazing.
Okay.
Another thing too that I didn't see, and it might just be because you're not finished yet though, but so are you going to be, or do you already have emails collected from customers?
We don't yet, and that's not yet, but that's also something that could hopefully be built into the site.
Yeah, you can do that with
Right.
Shopify pretty easily. Yeah.
Right.
One thing that I would highly recommend is starting to collect emails, but there has to be a fair exchange of value there. So it's not just like you can say, hey, sign up and give us your email address for updates. Well, I mean, it's not really telling anybody anything specific. Like, what updates? How often are they coming? Are they going to be pertinent to me? So what I would do is have, and a lot of times, you'll see them just down here at the bottom where nobody's going to go, nobody's going to see it. So when the user navigates to the homepage, have a pop-up saying, hey, 10% off your first order, sign up here with their email. If you can give them a specific value that they're going to get, tell them specifically what they need to do and make it easy, like just give the email, that's really going to skyrocket your orders. Email marketing has ridiculous ROI. I think the highest I've seen is something like 4,400%.
Wow.
Because these people are already connected with their business. And think about it. If you get something sent directly to your inbox, to your email, with a headline that from with an offer from a company that you're already interested in, you're probably going to click on that, right? And then from there, it's just one click to the site, and then it's just one click to order. It's not, you're not having to reinvent the wheel or anything. You're not having to go and pay for more ads, pay for more pages to be built on the site. You already have an engaged audience right there. And so email marketing is, again, one thing that I think is unfortunately sorely overlooked by 9 out of 10 local businesses. And it's really easy to do. My brother owns a few shops, and he just sends out updates once a week. Like every Friday, he'll just send out an update, not only with, maybe an offer he's doing, but just a little bit about what the store's doing. And again, that's telling the story about the store. It's kind of putting a face behind everything so people can connect with it better as well. He's telling a story as, before he tries to sell anything. So when you can connect with your customers like that, there's going to be more good feelings around that, and they'll be more apt to not just return to your store, return to the website, but also convert.
Yeah.
And then I had mentioned the Google My Business before too, about how it'll pick up and any keywords on your site. So like we said, here's a Google My Business right here. Do you guys monitor this or anything, or anything like that?
Not really. I know that more recently, maybe in the last year or two, I think we claimed it, and I know we've recently gone in there and updated some things just to change it to say temporarily closed and such. But I don't think we haven't gone too far into that.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So Google My Business is really important. Without a fully fleshed out Google My Business listing, it's going to be really hard to show up on maps or on a lot of local searches. One thing I'd recommend is I don't see a description here. So a description, literally, it'd go in this middle area right here, and it's literally a description of your business. It's a way for you to, again, tell your story, connect with customers, but also Google looks at the description for keywords. It's a great way to tell Google, Google's algorithm, what you do, where you are, what kind of services or products that you offer.
What sets you apart?
What sets you apart? Everything like that. Yeah. So even just putting in a description, writing a couple hundred words again, is really going to help your search engine rankings and really going to help more people find you. Another thing too that people don't realize is Google My Business posts. So with each Google My Business listing, Google will give you a free website, which should be published. I don't know if you've done that yet. I haven't seen it. But so it'll be something like, cafedelmarette.business.site. And it's a free website that Google gives you with your Google My Business listing. So it looks really simple when you first go into it. It's a one-page website. It's, there's an About Us section, a gallery section. But when you start doing these posts right here show up on your Google My Business listing, but they also act as inner pages for that free website Google gives you. And we know that Google indexes these posts, reads the keywords on there. So just doing posts a few times a week, again, is just going to give Google and users so much more information about your website and your company. And one thing that you have to watch out for is these posts expire after 7 days. But you can use third-party software like OneUp that will actually rotate these posts for you on a weekly basis if you wanted to. So what I recommend is just having like 3 posts rotate for a couple of weeks, and then once you see the engagement going down, then you switch those out, write something new, and have those rotating until you see the engagement going down on there. But it's a really easy way to get keywords associated with your Google My Business, tell users maybe if you're having an event or some specials going on. And it's, again, you just need to write a few lines, and it's a really easy way to connect. And then the last question I had for you on this was the pictures. Are you guys actively adding pictures, or it looks like some of these are from customers? But
I think it's customers. I checked into that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what it looked like. So just add as many pictures as you can. So one of the ways that Google ranks Google My Business listings is through engagement. And if you have more pictures on there, naturally people are going to be clicking around more on them. So this is a really easy way to get some engagement metrics onto your Google My Business. If you've got, this is an amazing picture. This makes me want to go there. But the more pictures you have, just like this, people are going to click through them, and then this is engagement metrics. Google knows that people are looking at your listing, engaging with it, and it means to Google that your listing was a relevant answer to the question that they had asked. So adding more pictures is going to do nothing but help you. And it's not like you got to go and add 5 per day. Even just adding 1 or 2 a week is perfectly fine. Just as long as you're keeping it updated too. That's really, really going to help.
So let me ask a question. I'm just kind of wondering that. So at this point, there are 2 separate websites, and it just made sense. So there's the one pager basically, which I believe is built on WordPress exactly,
Yep.
And then Fern, you're working on the Shopify component. That's not live yet. How would you suggest kind of marrying these two, and what kind of content should go on each of those? Because you
Yeah.
basically said you need to tell the story, you need to get a lot of content out. Where should the content reside?
So it's really hard having two different websites like this. Shopify obviously is the easiest way to do it if you just need to get something up and built and start taking orders. It's not the best for SEO, and I'll show you why here. It's because the URLs it makes are kind of they're not optimal. So one thing that Google looks at when trying to rank sites is the first thing that it looks at is the URL. And so out of the box, this is what URLs look like for Shopify. It'll have cafedelmarette.com/collection/whole-bean-coffee/product/Cafe Delmarette Veracruz Dark. Well, really what you want is the URLs to be as short as possible. And again, out of the box, Shopify doesn't do that. So what I would recommend is once the Shopify site is up, what you can do is have it be a subdomain of cafedelmarette.com. So it would be, shopify.cafedelmarette.com. You can have your products living on that subdomain and then use cafedelmarette.com to be your ranking pages, because with WordPress, you have a lot more control over things. You have a lot more control over URLs and such. So you could literally have cafedelmarette.com/Santa Cruz Coffee Roaster and then have your information about, the coffee that you're roasting right there. And since the URL is only Santa Cruz Coffee Roasters, Google knows exactly what that page is about. Google knows exactly what you're trying to rank for. And it gives it a lot more information rather than having all these subfolders right here. So once this is done, go ahead, launch it. Perfect. You got your store up, but I wouldn't completely forget about this one. After this is launched, I would get this one built out and use this as like your blog or your really what you're going to be using to attract search engine traffic. And then once they get there, have this Shopify page on a subdomain where they can actually do the ordering from. That's the easiest way to do it in the short term. Of course, in the long term, you'd want to have everything on your root domain right here on your WordPress site, but that's a problem that you can think about in the future after you get your online ordering all set up.
So all the talk about creating content, there's actually a very easy way to bridge that. So it doesn't have to be super complex. I mean, it'd be really nice to add some more history. I think that would interest everybody.
Oh, for sure.
But a great way to do content, and we do this with really large companies as well, is to have a blog, but to really be painfully loyal to that blog and to try to get something up. I mean, maybe initially you start once a month and then you get to once a week. You could get some of the employees involved, so part of what everybody does, unless they just really don't want to write, is that everybody's responsible for a blog post. And that way it's, you can easily do them weekly. And this is just about, experiences, or, once you get more, you can have different categories that you can set up. But that way you get a voice in your brand that starts coming out. And Google loves that. And so will your potential customers too.
Right. And on top of that, if you write about local points of interest, things to do, stuff around there, tourists are going to be searching for that too. Right. So it's not just local people, it's people coming in from out of town who might be looking for something to do. They hop onto your blog post about that, and then they'll go visit you. There's really no downside to having an active blog. Yeah.
Great.
Should we hop to the questions at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So we have a bunch of questions here. If you want to ask questions specifically, I mean, they don't have to necessarily deal with what we're looking at here, but they could be dealing with your business, with what you're trying to do. And so let me just see what we got here. So hey, Doug, how are you doing? So Doug asked. Doug was saying, "Hey, we mainly go to the website to check the hours when the Delmarette is available, and make us and when Fern can make us coffee and a cupcake." And that's that definitely makes sense. I think the main page was designed for that, to see, hey, are they open? What, is there maybe any additional information that has come up? But it's a pretty static thing.
Yeah.
And by adding Shopify, it's obviously it's much more dynamic. And by telling the story, I think that's going to make a huge difference. And then if you get a blog, that'll be a game changer.
Yeah. Plus, on the original website, it's just a static image. You can't update that. But once you move off to Shopify or WordPress, it's just 2 clicks, and you can update your hours or tell people when you close and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we're not telling anybody that you need to do this, but I think starting with Shopify, if you really have nothing and you're just worried about, hey, I need to get this stuff up and I don't understand this too well, Shopify is great.
Yeah. Really easy to use.
A nice transition would be to keep the main page in WordPress, and then you can actually migrate from Shopify to WooCommerce, which is a component, like a plugin for WordPress, and those work very nicely together. So I don't want to complicate things, but there are really nice ways of kind of getting to where you need to be without paying a ton to Shopify. Because once you get to the higher the higher paid packages that they have, it's just you're just paying too much.
Yeah. What's it? I think it's $300 per month is the one if you're doing a lot of business.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's a really, really good question here. It's what about if I have a services page that lists 3 types of services? Do I need to make 3 separate pages for better ranking? Absolutely. Yes. If you want to rank in Google for your services, say, you're a plumber in Santa Cruz and you do like router services, stuff like that. Yes, you absolutely have to make a separate page for each service. Because Google does understand it does understand that plumbers can do several different things. But if you have all of that on one page, you're probably not writing a lot about it because you want to get the user to a conversion point as quickly as possible. But you're also, since you have 3 different topics on that one page, Google's not going to understand it quite as well either. And if Google can't understand it, Google's not going to be happy and they're going to rank you lower. So really the best way to do it is to have a services page that just lists your services, but then also have a separate page for each thing that you do or each product that you sell. So if you do, again, like if you're a plumber, do Santa Cruz Plumber, and then you can list whatever services you do, but then break those services out. Then you can do like Santa Cruz router services, Santa Cruz unclogging, something like that. Santa Cruz new plumbing installs. Once you break those services out to individual pages, like I said before, the URL is going to be a lot cleaner. Google's going to know exactly what the page is about. The title tag is going to be about one thing. That's another big signal for Google. And then all the text on the page is going to be about one thing. So once you make everything as clear as possible for Google, whether it's a service or product that you have, it's just going to make things so much easier and so much more understandable for Google. And it's really going to help your rankings that way. So it's tedious. But yes, you have to make a separate page for each product or service, especially if you want to rank in other cities. Say you're in Santa Cruz, you want to rank in San Francisco, then you got to make a page for San Francisco Plumber or San Francisco Coffee Roaster. That's really the best way to show Google what exactly your site is trying to do. Yeah.
So Ben is asking, when does a product description become too much for Google?
Too much for Google? That is... So the easiest way to be able to tell is just to look at what the first page is doing. So if you look at your competitors on the first page, you know that one, they're satisfying all the basic most of the basic SEO that Google is looking for, but also they have happy customers. So again, one of the things that Google looks at when ranking websites is CTR, is click-through rate. You might have the most optimized page possible. You got your keywords in there. Page is, lightning fast. You got backlinks, but if nobody clicks on it, Google's not going to rank you. Or if they click on your page and then they immediately hit the back button to go back to the search results, Google's not going to rank you. So what I tell people is look and see what your competitors are doing on the first page. If they've got a product description that's only 100 words long and that's what you're seeing like the top 5, then maybe that's what yours should be. Or if they have this really long form sales page that's 2,000 words, then you should probably try to hit that 2,000 word mark. Really, I can't give you one answer. It really depends on a keyword by keyword, product by product basis. Really, the only thing that I would recommend, like I said, is to look and see what your top 5 competitors are doing, and then try to, meet that content length and use the same, selling points or tactics that they would too.
So I got another question here. What about GoDaddy for websites?
GoDaddy isn't great. They're slow. I don't like their customer service typically is not very responsive. I don't use GoDaddy at all. Hosting providers, SiteGround is a good one. WP Engine, WPX, Kinsta, those are probably the ones that I would recommend the most.
What about domain registrars? Do you have any?
Cheapest is namecheap.com. You can get it. You can use SiteGround and stuff. Get your domain there, and then it's super easy just to have it all in one account. But if you want to save some money, Namecheap, you can usually get them for like $2, and then just point that domain name to your hoster. Yep.
And the cool thing that people don't realize, it's a bit more complex. But if you do it on your own, basically where you control your destiny, like you were saying, Kyle. So you have your domain name, you register it. So with your registrar, so you've got that set. It's like the title company basically to your house. And then you want to host it somewhere. So that's basically the place, like the storage area where your website ends up living, where you can back it up and everything. Once you've got that, then if you want to use WordPress and you want to use plugins, WordPress is basically free, right? So that's incredible.
Oh yeah.
And most of the plugins are free too, and the ones that aren't, you might upgrade, and it's something like, like $30, and that's it. So it's not $200 a month. Mm-hmm. So that's a great way to progress. But in this case, I think what you're doing, Fern, really does make sense. You're going to Shopify because it's easy, because it's you can basically cut and paste, move things, get things up and running very quickly. Yep.
Right. Let's see. So one of the questions here is, being a non-secure website, does it remain safer than others because it's not as noticeable? No. Having a non-secure website is definitely a ranking factor. Obviously, Google wants to show the best websites possible, highest quality websites. And they determined a few years ago that having a SSL on your site, or even just having a secure website, is one of the hallmarks of a quality site. If there's no SSL on there, it's really hard to rank. I think it's only like 10% of websites on the first page of search results are non-secure websites now. On top of that, you don't want users to see that red mark right next to the URL if they're using Chrome, or if it says not secure. So it's really easy to do. Most hosting companies will give you a free SSL through Let's Encrypt. And it's really just a click of the button to get you that secure website. There's no reason not to do it.
And so that's the difference between when you see the full URL and it's HTTP : versus HTTPS : and that S is the secure part. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And like I said, all things being equal, if there's two websites that are the exact same and one's got that SSL, one's got the HTTPS, and one doesn't, then that HTTPS is going to get ranked higher.
Right.
Yeah. It's a really easy way to kind of boost up your rankings ever so slightly. But, if all these things are, just an extra 2%, but when you start stacking those on top of each other, it helps.
Yeah.
You can see a big difference at the end of the day.
So here's a comment about Santa Cruz specifically, and about another restaurant. Hom the Korean rice bowl place down the street from the Delmarette does a good job of this. And this is I think what Doug means here is talking about email and getting subscribers. It's linked to a frequent diner program too. So I think that just offering something in exchange for that, and then you've got this list of customers that you can send your stuff, and it really means something.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's one. I think it's called Get 5 Stars. I wish I could remember what it was, but down here in Orange County, that's the one that everybody uses, and it's a really great way to get more reviews for your restaurant on Google My Business and Yelp and stuff. Also, you can connect with your customers through text message, which to me is kind of invasive, but maybe I'm a little old fashioned. I know kids nowadays like text messages. So yeah, I mean, having frequent diner programs and stuff too really helps, not just for your marketing, but when Google sees all this traffic coming to your site like that, and they're clicking around and they're engaged, I mean, that's just going to help, because Google's going to see that people are enjoying your site. And again, it's just that extra 2%. It's just going to keep you bubbling up and up and up for more keywords on on the search engines.
Right. And another way to motivate people on your list is when you're sending them emails, is you can announce special deals or like special items that you aren't sharing with the rest of the world yet. So they can show up and they can say, "Oh, yes, I'm supposed to mention like blue
right.
or something like that," and then like other customers will hear that and say, "Wait, what's this about?" Oh, that's only if you're signed up. Oh, do you want to sign up? Right. And then there's a real motivation to do that.
Yeah.
There's a reward.
I mean, it's not just that like airs of exclusivity you're giving to your current customers, but again, you're building your story, man. Like,
right.
It's like, hey, there's this coffee shop. If you know the secret password, you get 10% off or whatever. But that you're telling a story, it's setting you apart.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Great. Do we any more questions? So I'd like to kind of wrap things up. What I'd love to do is send you guys to our and I just sent the link here to our LinkedIn group. I sent you an invite already, but you can just access it and just ask questions. Share knowledge. I know Chris is here. He's a local guy. He does websites. He can answer questions. I really want people to get together. Let's do this as a forum. And thank you, David. Kyle, Andreas, great information, knowledge to improve the website business success. Thanks, y'all. Great, really impressive. Wow, love it.
Yep.
I'd like to thank everybody for attending. And if you could do me a favor, if you know of a business that's been affected or will be affected by COVID that we could feature here, we'd love to feature it. Kind of go through steps like this. It could be any kind of business. It doesn't matter. It could be a smaller brick and mortar. It could be a larger, maybe more of a virtual existence, a B2B. We'd love to take them on. I think the more positivity and the more information we can get out there, the better for everybody. Just to get through where we are right now. And I thank you so much. Hope to see you over at the LinkedIn group. I'll follow up. We'll have a recording of this. I'll follow up once that's published, and you can share it with friends, and the people who weren't able to attend will be able to catch it. And we will have these every week, 10 a.m. Wednesdays, 10 a.m. Pacific time. And more fun to come.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Kyle, and thank you very much, Fern, for being part of this. And thank you, Fred, as well. If you're back there, the owner of the Delmarette, really appreciate it. It's an honor.
Yeah, it's great talking to you.
Bye bye.